All right, everybody, welcome back. The date today is Tuesday, the 14th of September, 2021. Two good trades for me on the books today. Still got a couple swings, but of course, we'll get into it all in the breakdown here. First off, let's get some housekeeping in on SPY. Kind of the same trend that we've been seeing, a little bit of just the nice little perk in pre-market or just little pushes higher during pre, not so much after hours per se, that it's been holding that hard trend or little pattern to say, and then you just get this fading during market hours. So maybe flip of a coin if we try to actually play on this pattern tomorrow. If it just wants to do the exact same thing, we are, of course, still in this little bit of a rollover here. 4 red days showing on the daily here. Not that they are perfect red days to a sense of what a red daily actually is, that it's closing lower than the open. But interesting to play off that too. Other market internals, NASDAQ dollar volume, $159 billion volume. Pretty low. NYSE $225 billion volume. OTC's $1.9 billion volume. So kind of the same, maybe on the more of the low side today too, especially since it's Tuesday, maybe a little bit more of the week. We'll see how we end up closer to the end of the week. But VIX hanging around 19 to 20 in regards to volatility. Bitcoin hanging around 46,000 as regards to everything else in the environment. And yeah, like I was talking about, I think coming into today, just had so much more freedom mentally to focus and maintain that discipline and everything I wanted to do, and putting in that work to set myself up better for success. Not that necessarily that I was a different person today or I was doing anything crazily different, but just the different parameters that I set myself up and established myself to offer the opportunity to do things like take some awesome trades today too, which was very nice and continually encouraging to say, hey, this is absolutely what I'm going for. Everything worked out pretty much to the plan of what I wanted to see in regards to entries and exits a little bit too. Of course, I'll get hard into those breakdowns, but yeah, great, exciting day. Continuing to push that lever even further. Watchlist coming into the morning on the day. Really looking for CEI and AEI, of course, that I'll get into with my trade breakdowns. OCGN, I was also looking at a little bit from that. This is a former runner. I forget the float on this one. If it was a low floater, but just had that nice big perk yesterday. It is now short sale restricted, of course, from today for how far it is from the close of yesterday. But this was the same thing. Like, now the ticker's escaping me. Maybe this past week or a few weeks ago, where we had the same thing that I noted. This is the first time we've had like a full green day trend and a hold in a long time. And I forget the ticker. It's absolutely killing me. But then exactly what happened today happened exactly on that ticker as well too. That it just kind of holds that range in after hours and pre, and then just dumps. And it was a hard fade the whole rest of the day, which in my mind too in pre, I told myself as well was a possibility of, hey, this thing might be a nice short today. You might look at it as short side. Of course, I don't have enough data, and I really don't feel I want to keep my focus on what I'm doing right now versus thinking I'm mastering everything and I could just pull all these different levers and buttons and think I'm tracking that well enough, when a sense of, hey, I want to maintain a hard discipline focus. But good to see that my mindset was in the right place of saying, hey, this happened the last time on this packed ticker that did the kind of exact same thing, and now of course it did it today too. That gives me a little bit more conviction the next time this potentially happens to potentially play this to the short side. See if it wants to do anything else after the next few days, which I doubt. This day was potentially a nail in the coffin for this former runner ticker, which I think I've had a lot of success with in the past. Also looking at EEIQ, I think I mentioned that one yesterday as well. For just a third day surge type of play, this is just not a lot of volume coming today. I think we're still like sub 2,000 trades on the day. I think it was $3 million volume. Not a lot of volume or support to come in on this one, but it's just in this nice little curl here with the low floatingness that it is. Now apparently to short sale restricted from the close of yesterday. It looks like. So again, just looking for any amount of volume, looking for any amount of push, especially the $6 psychological key level, whole dollar level is close, and just playing off of any of these previous high days, reclaims, tests, squeeziness as the low float it is, but nothing happened of it today. I think it still could be on the watches for tomorrow, because it did have this little bit of a perk reclaim after it looked like it was going to dump or maybe just fade and die off in the morning. Did have a little bit of a reclaim, and now testing closer to $6. We'll see what it wants to do. We'll see what it wants to do. If it does anything in these after hours of pre-markets and get any amount of volume whatsoever, this thing could be pretty nice. Otherwise, potentially, I think I'm spending too much time mentally on it already at this point. But EEIQ was the other one, and then SNGX was another one that popped up on the scanner. This thing has just been a rinse and repeater. See it has a news catalyst and just short it. I remember shorting this one July, August for a nice little 10% morning dump pattern trade on this one, which was right away in the pre. The news catalyst on this one today was just the same old crap. It's a American biotech with a float of 39 million. They just do this over and over and over again. The news catalyst today, 8:30 on the dot. Sologenics develops groundbreaking vaccine platform to target future pandemics. Good for you guys. So just trying to hit all those buzzwords and keywords to track the volume, bring in the retail trader. Dollar volume today was 13.1 million, which is pretty nice to see. But again, the same, not a slam dunk home run, just immediate drop off, especially after, you can call it a little bit after that crack of VWAP for an entry point of, but really, 110 was your best exit today as a cover. And I was actually I reserved like 500 shares. I was trying to get short this thing right around this time frame too. And my order was just sitting there through trade zero of 121, 122, and then it's coming down to 120. Like I was having it sitting there for minutes at a time, and I'm just so confused. I'm on the bid. I even went down below the best bid at some point, and I'm checking. Okay, am I screwed up? And it's not a after hours order. Is it just a day order? Am I screwing up with, which I have not had that problem in the past with trade zero? So don't know what was going on in that regard, but I'm kind of glad I didn't get filled anyway in this trade, even though it would have been a little bit of a profitable trade, just a little bit of a scalpy trade, nothing awesome to say the least, but I knew the probability was fairly high on this one for how much even these past few days here. We got this day, the nice little dump after the perk, another day here. It's just rinse and repeat on this one of what it wants to do in the pre-market. Somebody's obviously manipulating it pretty well and playing it to the downside in the same regard, and that's exactly what I want to be trading with. I want to be trading with those people in a lot of, and pretty much away from the eye of the masses, which I love to be. I don't want to be in the huge, crazy field mess of just the mush of people at these types of tickers where it's decent volume, but it's not like overwhelming, blow your socks off type of volume that sometimes for me create the best opportunities and fit my personal motive pretty well, I would say, to an extent. But interesting one on that one today that didn't get filled in trade zero. What happened there? But so now getting into the trades, let's go into AEI, which was my first one. This is float of 3.7 million on this. Again, I think I mentioned this one yesterday as well too. There's a real estate company. It's not a REIT, which is the number one box I want to check when I see anytime it's mentioned real estate. And they've got locations all across the globe, and the digital transformation technology, biohealth activities, whatever, just stretching pretty much as far as they can in a lot of different sectors. Coming up on this dump gap to fill from this offering here on this date, which is, and also combine that with the $3 whole dollar level, psychological level here at this point, and this nice little uptrend with volume, looking to really play off of this tiny little cup here of these past 4 days. We're tracking more volume in. Now we're just basing this really off of technical levels. $3 became a little bit of a key area for the after hours that it kind of dumped off here, fell from that nice little green day yesterday. Coming into today, yes, he had a little crazy perk above pretty much right as the pre-market opened and then sell off, and just kept this one on watch in my charts to see if $3 was going to be any key area, and I got a nice entry as it was breaking at $3, watching the level 2 time and sales. A little bit of a fake out as it had this nice little perk, went to 301, 302, dumped back under. Failed to ever actually crack VWAP though at this point, which was encouraging for me to see. I think my risk at this point was obviously going to be the opening or the bottom of these candles here too. I knew if price was reaching down there at that point, the trade for that point in time was going to be over for me, to say the least too. So we get actually a nice reversal, continuation, new high of day, rejection once again. With this one actually breaks VWAP here, but it fails again to break that little bottom of these two candle wicks here. Gets immediately bought back up once again, and then bounce off of VWAP too hard, right to high of day again. Continual strength coming in to continue to push this one to high of day. And in my mind, my profit target, again, 10% that I always just key in on. Okay, that's what my profit target's got to be. That's just what trading is. You got to be looking for 10%, right? That's kind of what I've been brainwashed a little bit to think, which has helped me in some regard, but then also hindered me a lot too, I think, in these past summer months where I've just only been focusing on that and just killing myself on the back end of not taking winners when they were offered. But I was keyed in on that 10% mark because it was showing 2.99999. That was my average entry price. And my brain automatically went 2.9, 10% off of that, 3.2. So I had my orders in at 3.2, thinking that was 10%, when in reality I was like, wait, no, stupid. That would be 3.3 as a 10% move. But anyway, either from that, I was adjusting it as we were in this little run up here and took off half as we were touching 3.2 with volume, compared to, looking at the volume candles here, take out this candle, this push here that I took that first push that was the safe paying myself exit. Actually, this was over, I think, was it 500 shares? No, it's 500 shares on CEI. 200 shares here for the entry at the break of 3, the crack of 3. And then took off 50 shares as we were coming in with strength here within this first candle, which is this bad boy here. And then this second candle, this is what I was talking about this was the biggest candle of the day, biggest push. And I'm thinking 3.2, I had adjusted it to 3.25. I didn't know necessarily if 3.3 was going to be hit. Maybe we perked to 3.28 or 3.29, some random number, and then fail off of that. So took my profits, the rest of the 150 shares at 3.25 for just under an 8% trade, which was absolutely awesome 100% trade that I want to be a part of. Not a specific hard setup that I think is very popular. I think I've been trading in the past, but a trade that I had a lot of preparation and work into to identify, hey, this is a low floater. Hey, this is where we're at on the volume. This is the technical levels that we're basing the trade off of, and just stuck to my guns in all of that and worked the chart pretty well. And I think lucked out. If it hadn't gone as far as 10%, maybe we peaked to like 315 and then, shift the chart down to 315, where the percentage, the type of flow of the price action is still the same, but it's a less percentage move. I think I would have screwed myself over a little bit in a sense, because I still would have been looking for that 10%, which I've kind of told myself a little bit to say, hey, I can't be doing that. I need to be establishing some amount of green trades going forward, just taking those profits as they're there, taking the wins when they come, and adjusting my definition of what a single is in regards to P&L. But kind of lucked out of where I was on this one and didn't hinder myself all the way to say, oh, I'm not taking the first profit until 10%, which would have been 3.3. If you were perfect, it offered that from the 3 break to 3.3 if you had orders in pretty much precisely there. But I am not trying to be perfect whatsoever, because I know 99.999999% of the time I'm not going to be. And interesting, the reject off of 3.3 that it had pretty soon right after that, which was good to see for me to also establish that, hey, even though, yes, it did go to 3.3, I was on track a little bit to say, hey, selling into that exhaustion point. We're also trending a little decent away from view up at this point. A lot of volume. The biggest amount of volume is coming in today. Absolutely 100% take profits, and that was a good sell exit for that part of the trade. Chart did retry 3.3 once again here, fell off once again, actually broke to the upside here, 3.3 that it hit on this attempt, and then broke down again, and then actually tried a little bit later, right before the afternoon session, failed once again, then just hard fade off the whole rest of the day. Tough VWAP hold type of trade for me on that one too, especially since it's the second day, or we're kind of establishing, we're still in this gap to fill on the daily, so I don't really know how much I would have been playing this one on the afternoon. And I think just mentally for me too, it's sticking my hand back in the fire on the same ticker is a little bit sketchy for me at this point too. I just absolutely want to nail and bail. And if I'm totally missing trades, just a continuation of the longer intraday time frame, then I think I can adjust that mindset. But for now, this was an awesome nail and bail, precisely where I wanted to go with the targets that I was kind of looking for and set in my head. Yes, I'm adjusting them intra-trade, but this was just another reminder to another great affirmation that, yeah, even though it did continue to go a little bit without me, and maybe it potentially had a little bit more in the bag behind this one, I have not run into the problem in an incredibly long time where I've been cutting my winners too short. And I think I'm willing to get into that problem once again, because I think that's a far better problem to have than letting winners turn into break even or losers at some point too. So totally willing to say, hey, I didn't nail this perfectly, which of course I want to make my goal and everything, but that's not what I'm holding myself accountable to as a trader, of trying to trade this perfectly from 3 and nailing the exact tops and bottoms of charts, but understanding, hey, this is what chart's giving you. And God, that was an awesome opportunity on that one. That was AEI. Other trade on the day too, before I mention other tickers, CEI. What an awesome chart on this one today. Talking about this one yesterday, I think other people, again, looking at this one a little bit differently too, but it's in this manipulated run-up, just having fun, tickling the shorts along the way. You get this bigger red day yesterday, but the volume just really doesn't match. There's no amount of panic going into that day whatsoever compared to what this run-up has been. And of course, I understand this whole time too that in order to keep this trend going, you've got to keep the volume growing along with it. This trend just does not happen if the volume doesn't come along with it to pair alongside of it. It just doesn't move to the upside. So coming into today, the trade plan, of course, was, I mentioned before, that 1.5 $half level, that key psychological level, of course, being top ticked here as of yesterday in that little red day, fake out red day that I really didn't buy as a red day, as a panic. In the morning session, you could have absolutely convinced me, okay, it's panicking hard, but then totally reclaimed and held in a little bit of a fake out here, a little perk below VWAP. After hours was a little squishy, but then you just get this nice opportunity to develop here in the morning with the reclaim. Not insane volumes coming in for me to think that, okay, the perk is definitely going to happen today, but it was enough volume to convince me that, hey, more and more eyes could be coming to this chart because it's certainly not dead yet, especially as it's reclaiming. The 145 level obviously put in this type of nice little technical resistance here from yesterday's after hours, and then coming into pre-market today, you get reject off of here, reject off again, and then we get there a third time, and it was in this battle once again, kind of rejecting a little bit, pulling off, and then just strength all of a sudden 100% came in, and you can see that on this volume candle here. Big push to the upside that was needed in order to get that price to move away from the 145 level. We held perfectly off of that. Pretty much 146 didn't ever break again. Originally, my plan was, hey, be patient. 1.5 is a great, that key level to try and wait for this thing as an entry. But also, as I'm in the trenches with this thing too, and I'm seeing this 145 level develop, I'm thinking, man, okay, I definitely think it does have the strength to potentially test 1.5 again. And if I'm already sitting with a position as we're getting to that 1.5 and it starts to battle out and go crazy, maybe dunk a little bit, VWAPs, wherever it wants to be, I can sit pretty with a nice little position size just sitting on the sidelines, and not literally sitting on the sidelines, but kind of, letting the action play out, and whatever side wants to win out, then I can just act upon it in that manner versus me actually having to be the one in the trenches as we're at the 1.5 level, which I was coming into the chart with today as a key area of potential entry for a further trend continuation on that one. I think that 145, I lucked out that it was the level that it was today of confirmation of a potential upside on this one, and gave me a lot more wiggle room to be comfortable in the trade, because I think totally too, looking back, if I used that 1.5 as the key level, if I just stuck to my guns and said, no, I'm only trading, the trade is only confirmed in my head if it's above 1.5. Was this the biggest volume candle? Oh, it had definitely later beyond the day, but in the morning session, this was the biggest volume, 1 minute volume candle was that 1.5 push. It stayed there. It tapped 1.5 initially, and this candle here too. Tapped it and rejected a little bit, but then just absolutely blew out of the water, and there was not even a chance. I would have probably gotten 152 fill for my first entry, and then been totally screwed out to say, okay, yeah, hey, we're great, we're still moving green, we're tapping 1.6, but then as we're pulling back, then I'm forced into the situation of, okay, now it's continuing to sell. Now we have 4 red candles in a row, and you want to call this a doji. Now we're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red candles in a row that immediately just took out all of that hard work that we did above 1.5, where I'm sitting at a 152 entry. I'm already so far red, and this is a totally different trade from there. Whereas even through all this selling, of course, minus my first exit, which I was just looking to, I think 1.6 was, I was going to take half at, and I was fooling around with stop orders at that point too. And I just said, screw it. And then I eventually just watched level 2 and time and sales. It never was hard printing. I just watched it first off to see, okay, when are we going to break these key levels? Because it was always printing those 15834, 6.5. It was those middle prints, the micro prints in between when it was still battling. But then eventually it was, okay, 157, red, and then just continuing to print that 157 level until we eventually broke. And I think I did get filled 157 on that one yet. So that was just what I was seeing at that point. That made me take that first half off at that point for a good 10% trade. That was a good 10% block here, 145 to 16. So then we get this nice little, I'm still sitting with half of the position. I think a little bit under half. I think, so this one was the 500 shares, and I think this was a 300 share exit. So a little under half of the position that I was still pretty convicted that I think this could have had. We're looking at the daily as well too. We still got the 2 days ago, high day breakout, this uptrend that we can still surpass. Plenty more volume potential left to come in on this one and throughout the rest of the day. So normally I would, in that past, in the same thing that I talked about of, man, I shouldn't be continuing to put myself in the box of holding myself to that 10% trade and just taking, hey, 5% is still pretty awesome. Redefining that view of what a single is in my head or what I should be looking for as a profit target. But in the same thing here, the conviction kind of overrode that of, I think this could definitely have a lot more potential left in the bag too, even though I haven't been seeing a lot of these in the past, even though this is a pretty far extent of where we are in this run up. It's short sale restricted. It's pretty low float, 25 million floater. Could see some nice things. So again, now coming back to what I was talking about of this nice entry of 146, now I can get to sit back and hold of course, if we're breaking VWAP, if we're coming close to my entry, then absolutely I'm going to cut this thing too, which I was rolling through my head as well. But we get a nice little bounce off of there, more consolidation, bounce off of VWAP. We're just holding, continuing to press a little bit higher, higher lows, pressing these highs. I can totally envision myself seeing Bryce Stewie right now saying, hey, this is a great entry point here on this like 159, looking for that 16 push through. You get the nice, at this point too, I'd actually put in, this kind of became a good practice run for potential mobile trading, because at this point too, I had 200 shares left. I was even potentially thinking of holding this one overnight if it wasn't gonna go so fast, but potentially just held decently well, looking for maybe a gap up in the after hours or something too. So I really wasn't concerned about it moving this hard during intraday. So I went to the gym actually around this point, but I've had my range order set in, so limit order at like 1.5. I knew if we were breaking, as we were pushing here, coming back to 1.6, if it was going to pull all the way back to 1.5, I think I was definitely cutting. And then I think I had a random stop or limit order in at 1.75 for the rest of my 200 shares if it was going to go that crazy high. And Bob's your freaking uncle. I randomly looked at it at the gym on my phone, pulled up the Robinhood chart because why not? And saw it was like 169 or so. I'm like, sweetness, I'll take a few shares off at this point. So I think I took 100 shares off again here, kind of luckily through the app. And like I said, a good, not a necessary experience that I should have forced myself into, and certainly not what I want to be doing in the future. That if I have a big position like this, that I will just randomly and always walk away from the computer. But good practice run to say if that situation ever comes for some reason, that it's no big deal whatsoever, that mobile trading is totally spot on, rock on. It's not a panicking type of moment. It's just pretty simple to do, and that was a great opportunity to kind of take in that practice today too. So 100 shares at 166, I think, potentially whatever I got here too, which lucked out again. That was the perk here at this point too. And then of course it continued to ride higher. I'm not looking at the chart again. And then I randomly pull up the chart once again. I didn't even see that it tapped 1.8. I just saw that it was still in the 170s. And I'm like, sweet, I think. And on the Robinhood chart, it did look a little like pretty vertical, perky as well too. So I'm like, okay, screw it. I definitely need to lock in profits as they are there. So 172, I think I potentially got on this one for that remaining 100 shares. Awesome opportunity, just over 10% trade, which I have not seen in a long time as a trading potential. And coming off of yesterday too, and not keeping my focus, not taking any trades, just locking in that mentality of, hey, trade with substance, not just trying to scalp random shares and thinking I'm going to get lucky like I did luck out on and got silver spooned a little bit in the 2020 market of just seeing whatever big percentage movers up on the day, convincing myself, oh, I'm trading a dip and rare, I've been doing this, whatever, but really just profiting off of the volatility opportunity, I think, versus these type of charts where it's the work that's put in, it's the identifying the patterns beforehand, coming into the day with the knowledge of what you want to see out of it, what you're going to do if price reaches this certain amount of point. This was great trading all around on these great charts, and opportunities come all around on these ones. So that was great. Those were the two trades on the day. Life was another big mover in the pre-market. I think this was Bowen's number one. The pre-market as of yesterday on this one was just blah. I immediately took it off the scanner, but then it did have a nice green day, closed pretty nicely, squeezed pretty nicely into the close. Nice little after hours range here that held, and then just continued to run up in this pre-market, and that just turns me off so hard. And I think revolving a little bit in the future as a trader too, what Jack number 2 looked at this one is, hey, I'm looking for a morning spike to short into, and that was a perfect opportunity on this one. Perking just below that $13 hold level. I think he actually made a few grand even cutting this super short, not even playing the long fade on this one, the long kiss goodnight on the intraday at least. On this one, that was a pretty nice opportunity on the downside. But then again, looking at this one too, this is why I do these videos. This is why I do these videos. I don't know what I was going to say at that point. But watching this in real time, of course, this is just so choppy and so wicky in all of this, and just mind-numbing to try and be a part of if you've got an entry at this point. But we get to this 9:45 time frame where, okay, it's super choppy, yes, but you're basing a little bit off of VWAP. Take out, what we're doing here if we're looking at it at this point, that one. So now you're saying, okay, we're at the $12 level. It's not a perfect hold, but I can see it's holding decently well. A little green here, now testing 12.3. I think it could potentially squeeze closer to 13, potentially go a little bit more the rest of the day. It is, what is the float on this one? 13 million floater, and then the news catalyst. It did have a news catalyst yesterday, and I think this is actually the same news catalyst put out today as well too, at 10:30 Eastern I see here. Yeah, but going absolutely parabolic. Could go even crazy more. Of course, that's what everybody's hoping for, right? And looking for any type of pattern and solace to trade off of versus just chasing randomly into hard green or hard red. So then you get this nice little dip and then just reject here with this bottom, which is something that I don't think I would have seen or identified in just, I pull this chart up at the end of the day and see this, it's easy to see, hey, I see a full green downtrend, and you can think, okay, just short. If it perks hard in pre-market, it's going to be a nice short the whole rest of the day. That's the easy inclination to see versus as you're watching this thing in real time. And that's why Steven Johnson, Stocks to Trade, is such a big proponent of recording the screen and recording the charts real time. And Thinkorswim has the great opportunity of the on-demand feature to do that too. But those are the little things that you didn't see of somebody trying to go long and thinking, okay, we're coming on that 9:45 time frame. This could be a dip and rip opportunity. And then bam, you get squeezed. And the same thing again here, or you get slam to the downside, and then you get this another little opportunity again, squeeze or slam to the downside once again. Just the same thing over and over. That wouldn't necessarily be so easily defined in just pulling up these charts randomly at the end of the day too, which I'm a big proponent of, and I think I need to do that more too, and sticking my 100% focus with what I'm trading, but in the charts that I do keep up on the side too, also seeing and identifying and keeping them at a glance distance too, not just totally disregarding them. To say those are little tiny things that are so key for great trades in a sense too, is the entries and the exits in the little tiny details, the little tiny things that play into the emotional factors, the stops and starts, and every single facet of what the trade itself entails. So great experience on that one. In life, FCEL, geez, former EV runner in this just absolute crazy 2020 market, coming into actually 2021. The float on this one, this is a real company. It's a 309 million floater, American, electrical parts and equipment's car manufacturer. Whatever. News was earnings actually from 9/16. It was released, and man, I just completely disregarded it because it was earnings. And so it was spiking pretty nicely pre-market here, and I was like, hey, it'll just do whatever. And then like, boing, it just absolutely bounced and kept on going, Energizer Bunny style. Continual squeeze this whole morning session. And interesting to see now too that it's fading pretty hard this whole rest of the day. You're getting this a little curl here, but weird type of earnings chart on this one, in my opinion. And then AMC, I am still swinging my 2 shares. I think I'm in a negative like $5 from a 49.7 or something entry point. Just hard down day, 8% down day, at least intraday I see here. Not so much scared out because it's still in this little bit of a trend. This trend line, let's see if I can get a good, yeah, that's pretty good right there. Just this little channel to the upside. We haven't really cracked it hard to make me believe that this uptrend is over. Say this, maybe this was just a little bit of a shakeout or scare out. You have similar days like this day here that are pretty decent sized bodied red candles for down days. So we'll see what it wants to do. I think 45 is going to become somewhat more or less of a hard technical level cut for me on this one, which is turns out to be like a 10% risk reward risk level on this trade. But I still think it has plenty of upside coming out of trying to play this on a longer time frame, as it's potentially pushing into October months, November, December. We get into that crazy winter months. We could see some nice Christmas gift money being thrown into YOLOing on some stocks. So yeah, still long here. And again, that super small position size is really not an indication of what the conviction I have on this trade is just continuing to say, hey, it's an experiment. It's just continuing to collect data on, hey, do I see swing trades correctly? Am I identifying different facet of this? I'm not in no way, shape, or form. I look at the fundamentals. I think AMC actually did have some good fundamentals, whatever they released recently, whatever stupid report I saw online. But this is in no way, shape, or form a fundamentals type of play or the company type of play. This is the Wall Street bets. This is the monkey, the gorilla type of trade. So we'll see what it wants to do going into next few weeks, next few months in that regard. Watchlist going in for tomorrow. I mentioned EEIQ, that if it gets volume, of course with everything, if it gets volume, it's going to potentially go up. But EEIQ, I think there's still a little bit left in it potentially. GCS was another ticker today that Chris actually traded this one for a dip and rip, which was, I turned this one off immediately because of the price action coming into just the choppiness and the non-congruency through each tick. You get little dojis here. It was decent volume, 195 million on the day, 115,000 trades, but very obvious and cool $8 whole level hold for a dip and rip opportunity around that 9:45 time frame. You get a little perk here, 2 VWAP, but reject and fail with a huge volume candle in that failure to fully maintain VWAP. But it holds once again, and you finally do get the actual perk above VWAP that does hold, and it goes off to the races for a little bit. You get the fake out once again. This is the type of market and the charts that we're in. It is going to chop you all around, and it dunks under VWAP and then holds back up once again. After hours, it's run a little more here, touching 10.6. We'll see what it wants to do the next few days. This is a float, super low floater of 6.6 million. American communications company. That's its actual name. I just realized, Communication Systems Incorporated. Great name. Potentially goes parabolic. Obviously, looking on the short-term daily here, it does have this little history of one and done. This was a big red day compared to what this is, a big green day, and continuation in after hours. So just keep it on the books. Nothing hard on it at this point, but just keeping my eye on it. That is all that I had, man. This turned out to be a long video, but great trading day to continue that grind and put the focus on. We want to see those good trades, the good substance-filled trades, which is everything I need to be doing, clearing the distractions away from me mentally, keeping my eyes, my mind focused on task at hand, and continuing to propel ourselves harder and harder each and every single day. And I'm so thankful every single opportunity. And I thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys on the next one.